Good morning, everyone. I am so excited. This is my first live of the day. I am going to be speaking with Cynthia Eidelman, who is a Florida-based licensed marriage and family therapist, as well as a mindset coach. Yay, here she is. Hi. Let me connect her. Hold on. Cynthia, can you request to be in the video? Morning. There we go. This is my first live, and then I have another live this afternoon to talk with our DJ. Okay, let's see. Hold on, Cynthia. Oh, there we go. Yay! How are you? Good morning.
I'm good. I'm good. Early start today.
Yes, it is an early start. So let's get into it because I wanted to be quick. I wanted to do these a little bit more IG lives more frequently, just in talking to different resources in the community. Obviously, I have my podcast, but I'm taking a short break with that so I can come back bigger and better. But I wanted to talk with experts like yourself because what's been coming up, and I just did a brief bio introduction of you, that you're a Florida-based family and marriage as well as a mindset coach. You want to maybe talk a little more briefly about your background, and then I'll jump into what our topic's going to be.
Yeah, thank you. I think the only thing I would add to that, I mean, you said it perfectly. And what I started to realize is that the experience that I create and the result that I create for my client is inner peace, right? Inner peace. It doesn't matter what's happening around you or within your home system. If you have the mindset of, and I know this is a word that's been thrown around a lot on social media lately, but of abundance, of opportunity, of growth, right? Then you're gonna jump in and be surrounded by the same daily thing, the same daily hassle and hustle, but you are going to feel different. You are going to think different and act different. And that just creates a different vibe, a different result in your life. So the only thing that I would add, besides being a bilingual licensed marriage and family therapist, Florida based, right, is that I do a lot of mindset coaching, and that the result, and I'm calling myself now an inner peace activator, because that's what I want to do for you. I want to activate a different experience, a different daily experience for you.
I love it. And we've talked on the podcast, which is why I wanted to have this conversation with you, because what's been coming up a lot in my support groups, my own marriage, and I talk about it all the time, is we don't talk enough how the relationships with our partners change once we have kids.
Yep.
And it's still, and talk, I mean, I think we even talked on the podcast, because you have two children, and how, you know, you have your relationship when you first have kids, then you have your first child, then there's another dynamic after your second child, and so on and so forth. So I guess, what would you say to those couples that may feel a little disconnected, that might be in the fight or flight mode? What would you say to those couples of giving them some tips to reconnect, to regroup, and kind of come together, that could be struggling at the moment?
Yeah, you know, from experience, I got married. Within 6 months or so, I got pregnant with my first child. And then after, when my daughter turns 1 year exactly, I got pregnant with my second, and we were both working full time at the moment. And what I would say that we did not do, being just newly married and excited to create and build a family, is that we never took a pause to check in with each other and have a really honest conversation about how we were not only feeling within the reality that we had created and wanted for ourselves, but also what was working and not working. That even if you did have this dream of building a family, maybe after actually having your first child and seeing the reality of living in it, you could have taken a pause and said, you know what? Maybe I do want to wait to have my second child. Maybe I do not want to have a second child. You know, maybe I do not want to work full time. So definitely have that pause, because that will allow you to notice and create awareness as to there is an issue, and we have to take the time and honor it and fix it, right? If we do want this partnership, if we both want to be happy within this partnership.
Now, what would you say to those couples who are like, okay, I get it, 100%, we didn't do that, but now we're in it. We're in the thick of it. My son is 6, right?
again, putting myself in it, your kids are older.
Yeah.
I have,
Yeah.
more and more women I hear like, yeah, we're going to couples counseling, which I think is great. But yeah, talk about that. Like you're in it, you're in the thick of it. What are some ways to kind of say, okay, how can we take a step back now? I had heard something quickly that stuck with me. It was like on a podcast, and they were like, what we don't talk about the shift in relationships is the fact that now you have these kids come, and both of you are like taking all of your like love hormones and putting it to this one child. And like we don't talk about grieving what our relationship was.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times, to your point, if you let it, I guess, build, then it becomes to where if there's resentment. So yeah, so going back, how would you go ahead?
No, yes, I was going to say build resentment on both sides, because women may feel resentment that they are not maybe necessarily like the sole caretaker, but the main caretaker, the designated caretaker, and then the husband or partner may feel resentment because they feel, a lot of them tell me that they feel displaced. Sometimes they don't even have space in their own bed to sleep next to their wife or their partner. So how are they even going to be intimate if they're not even sharing, the same bed, or they're crossing paths and being roommates? So to your point, I do believe that it is still important, no matter where you are, to hit pause and create the moments so that you can have those uncomfortable conversations, to go ahead and say, I have booked a call, I have booked a session with this therapist or couples coach to see how they can help us, right? To that, I understand that many couples do weekly or bi-monthly, couples counseling. However, the thing is, if you're just showing up to say, I'm doing the things, but in reality, you know that you're not changing anything in your daily life other than showing up for those 50 minutes to that session, then nothing will really change. And that's why I started to add coaching, which is the actionable piece, the accountability piece, to my program, to the Connected Couple, because I do sit down with the couples that I work with, and I'm like, okay, talk to me about your day from beginning to end, from your point of view, right? From the female's point of view. And then talk to me from your point of view. So each partner tells me their side, and I'm like, okay, but this math is not adding up. You see where it's not working? So let's rebuild it. Let's take this out. Let's put this in. And then, so to your point that you were telling me, well, maybe couples feel like they don't have 4 months. Yes, you do. Because the moment that you start showing up for that first session to work with me within those 4 months, you start shifting. And then 4 months pass by like this, and you're like, I want more. Like, don't leave me, right? Don't leave me. So I think that's the one piece that I think is missing, that a lot of people say that they are doing the things, but just showing up will not cut it. You actually have to change something.
So basically, you're like, listen, I'm a therapist, but now I created this coaching program, and you're saying when combining them, then it's more powerful because the accountability is there. Because I have heard that too. I mean, I've heard great stories of couples that have gone to couples counseling, but I guess to your point, but there still has to be an accountability piece that I guess the therapy won't just handle on itself. So that's where your coaching program. Talk a little bit about the coaching program, and then I want you to say to those out there, let's say someone's like, yeah, but I'm all in, but my partner isn't, right? And vice versa. Maybe it's the wife, maybe it's the husband. Talk to me about what tips would you give to those of someone that's like, I'm in, but my partner is not.
Okay. I want to start there because yes, that also happens. So let's say you are in, but your partner is not. Then I have also developed a program that is called, that one is 6 months. That's called the Limitless Woman, because it only takes one person to change and to shift for the dynamic to start realizing, ooh, something is unstable, right? The homeostasis is feeling a little bit different. So I either catch on to that change, or it'll break, it'll fall apart. And sometimes you do have to hit like rock bottom in your couple or in your home to realize, what are we going to do, right? So I have worked with women who realize within the 4 or 3 months, like depending where they're at, right, that they do want a divorce, that they do want to separate. And that's the reality where they're in, right? And this space gave them the voice and the empowerment to say, this is no longer working for me, because this is truly a toxic relationship where we have both gone our separate ways.
That's
right?
real.
Yeah, and it is real, and sometimes that is the only option depending on your reality, right? hopefully it's not, but I do understand that for some women and for some couples it is. Now, so I will say to that answer, start with yourself, and then
Yeah.
hopefully we can shift from the limitless woman to the connected couple. So from working within you and you understanding exactly what works, what doesn't work, working within yourself, and then we'll bring in your partner.
Well, before you jump into the coaching program, that makes sense, and we hear it often, but it's true, right? You have to know what you need to, men and women, right? The husband, the wife, like you have to know what you need to then be able to go to your spouse and say, this is not being met, and I feel this when this is done because I need this from you. If you don't even know, how can you express what you're needing or what you're not needing or what's affecting you if you don't know for yourself?
Yeah, 100%. If you don't know your values, if you don't know your non-negotiables, if you don't know why you're being so resentful at the same time, and sometimes it has nothing to do with your couple and it has to do with you being unhappy somewhere else in your life.
Yes. And you're expecting your partner to solve that issue and fix it. Oh my God, yes, I know that we can go. Okay, so talk about the coaching program, and then I have one more question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, the Connected Couple is a 4-month program. It goes by like this. The first 2 months, we do meet weekly because we do need to gain momentum, and I do need to understand the ins and outs of your couple, right? Of your home, of your system. Now, with that, it's also important that we gain the trust and the desire to be there, right? If we trust the process, amazing. But if you truly do not have desire to be there, then the changes may not happen as quickly as you wish, right? So that's number one. And then after meeting weekly for 2 months, then we start going like every other week, so that in between sessions, you can practice the skills that you have already learned. So with that, the accountability piece not only comes in me showing up consistently with you and for you, but it also comes with printables, right? So I've created conversation cards, like starter cards, so that you can know how to reconnect, so that you can know how to ask the right and the hard questions, so that you can rebuild that emotional bank account that has been depleted and maybe on overdraft. I have created, homework sheets for you. And again, I don't want it to sound like, oh, this is going to be more work. No, it is, but we need to start asking the right questions. We can't just show up to session for 50 minutes and say that we are done. The real work happens in between sessions.
Yeah.
So homework may be like put the kids to bed or hire a nanny, right? So that you can actually sit in your balcony and ask each other these questions for an hour. Dedicate an hour to your couple. If you can't do that, and I will say, because some couples say, oh, this is expensive, I don't have time for this. I want to tell you, as someone who has worked with women and men that are putting in divorce papers, divorce is more costly, okay? And it takes more time and more emotional space from you.
For sure. No, that's such a good point. I think if it's something that's important to you to fix it, going back to the initial question or the initial point that started all this, is because in the support groups, I am seeing more and more of relationships, and a lot of it, I'm assuming, is starting from child is first born. And it could be even unsettled stuff from before your children, right? From before maybe even you got married, of things that were festering, that things that have compounded, and then you have children, and then you're even more separated because you, to your point, haven't really set, the tone of what you want your relationship to be, to really check in and say, hey, how are we feeling? Especially as we grow older, because we know we change. My husband and I'm very thankful, like we can have open and honest conversations. And he's like, I need a little bit more of this from you. I want you to take your health more serious. And I'm like, okay. And him understanding, and me understanding that that's important to him, especially as he gets older.
Understanding why it is important to him, right? What is he trying to gain out of it? I think also what they learn with me is not only how to communicate more assertively and clearly, but most importantly, all the couples come to me saying, because at the beginning we do state out 2 goals so that we know how we are progressing. How I am helping you reach those goals, and they have to be actionable and they have to be very specific. Like we have to be able to quantify it in a way. So they have to learn to listen, right? They all come and say, we want to improve communication, we want to improve like conflict resolution. But if you don't know how to listen, if you don't know how to regulate yourself within that conversation, you're not going to have a productive conversation because you're just matching each other up, 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 and up, right? So that's, I always tell them, you need to learn not only how to communicate assertively and respectfully, but learn to listen and regulate yourself. You need to be able to sit down and state what is important to you, right? So that's where the accountability piece comes in. And that's where you also, I help you create those spaces. It does help to have a third person there who is playing for the team, for both of you, right? So that's where I do believe that couples coaching, and specifically the connected couple, it is so, so powerful. I've been doing this for 10 years already. I know what works. I know what doesn't work. I know every couple believes and feels like their problems, like they are a magic unicorn that is flying around. With all the respect, you are not. You're not. Most couples go through the same things at around the same time.
For sure. Especially you've been together a long time. I mean, my husband and I were going on 13 years. Like, that's a long time, and you're figuring out, and how do you bring this, and what's working, what's not working. Cynthia, this was great. I know you will not be at the summit, but hoping to have you Thursday at the VIP cocktail party. Yay, I'm so excited. And yeah, it's just always such a pleasure to talk with you. You have such a wealth of knowledge, especially when it comes to the family and marriage and therapy and coaching and all the things. I will tag you, but please let everyone know your website and how they can connect with you.
Yeah. So my website is my name, CynthiaEidelman.com. Okay. My Instagram is the same. I do want to say the connected couple and all of my programs now are by application only, because I do want people who are really, truly ready to invest and show up, not just people that are shopping around, and people who dive into the process, right? If you're still at that, I'm shopping around, I need to think about this. Well, this program is for people who are truly ready to jump in. Okay. And that's it. I mean, it's my Instagram, my website. I'm very readily available. You know that. I do have spaces right now, but I do take only 10 clients at a time because I am 100% invested in you and your well-being. So it's very limited. And I will just say, like, I think we've talked about this, like, nothing changes if nothing changes, right? How you have to get out of complaint mode. You have to get out of that. You have to get into action mode, and then, you know, change will happen when you are ready to let things take another form, right? Take a form of its own.
Yeah, and have the mindset for it, right? That's what you started. Cynthia, thank you so much. Have a wonderful Friday. This is my first live of the day. I have another live this afternoon with the DJ for the summit, so check into that. We have a DJ this year. So excited. Our DJ and MC. So yes, Cynthia, have a fantastic Friday and have a great weekend. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.